Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Advocacy. I'm flying solo tonight, but guess what? I have a capable, I guess Sharon is here with me. So, Sharon, of course, it has been with us before. We have a lot of the things that we have done, we have merged together. I've participated with Sharon in several different things. The sharing the community. What's the community event that we did is slipping my mind, Sharon. But Sharon will go into that. But what we did do, we're doing the caring communities. That's what it is.
Mhm.
Sharon has been with us before. Sharon is a wealth of information. I call on Sharon a lot. Sharon refers me to different things. She lets me know what's out there because a lot of times, as we know, there's a lot out there. People tell us that all the time, but if you don't know where it is or you don't know how to go look for it, it's null and void. So ultimately, we appreciate Sharon joining us again, and Sharon has come on here and she can explain why she's on today to tell us exactly what she's doing now, or what, not that she's never doing anything, but she's always involved in something. But again, this is her second time on here, but it's not going to, definitely won't be her last time. So Sharon, with that being said, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what's going on or what venture you're in now.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm Sharon Eda. I am the Assistant Director with Caring Communities. I have been working in the disabilities community now for 29 years. My initial reason for coming into the disabilities community is the adoption of our son Daniel when he was a baby. Um, I'll give a little bit of story there. It's kind of a tearjerker, but it's tough. But we adopted Daniel as an infant. We knew he was going to have some mild special needs initially. This was before he was even born. Then they called us and said he was going to be born with more significant issues and disabilities and may not even live. But we knew that God was calling us to adopt this little guy. And I said, if I were pregnant, it wouldn't be any difference. So we brought him home after he was released from the hospital. Then he promptly went right in again. But this little guy who was supposed to not live outlived many, many people. Doctors just kept saying, oh, he won't make it past this time. He won't make it past that time. And I just kept saying he will be here as long as God wants him to be. And he did, unfortunately, pass almost 5 years ago. Yesterday would have been his 29th birthday. So that is why I am in the disabilities community, and I will continue to work in the disabilities community, community advocating, supporting, helping, doing whatever I can. So that's
Yes,
just a little bit of
yes.
me and my background, which I don't think you knew about,
I
Paula.
didn't know that. I was sitting here, I
Yeah.
was like, man, if she told me that,
Yep.
I don't remember it, but that would have stood out to me. I think, I mean, that alone is just admirable. And I'm like you probably feel like, nah, don't give me no awards, don't pat me on the back. And I
Yeah.
feel that way because at this point, that's something that God, the path that God has for me, and you don't want to get accolades for that. But that
Yeah.
is admirable for sure. But I didn't know that about Daniel. Wow. But I will say this, for me, that's an eye opener when you come into this type of community and you see the need. And whether the person, and I always say, even if Morgan is here or not, if the Lord take her tomorrow, that's not going to stop me with this community because it's opened my eyes up to the need. And with
Hmm.
that being said, it's like I can't just say, okay, I don't need it anymore, so don't let me deal with it. I can't do that. So
Yeah.
at this point, I commend you.
Oh. Well, as I said, that's why I do what I do. And so I've been with Caring Communities now since 2022. I've
Hmm.
worked on and off with them in the past, but came on board on a regular basis with Mona Friedman. She is the director of Caring Communities. And I learned more and more about what they did for the community. We are a small nonprofit located in Eldersburg, Maryland, in Carroll County. It's just four of us, so we do
Ooh.
we do big things for being so small. But as you do too.
Yeah.
And so, but tonight I really wanted to talk about our the respite care. And I think we discussed this before, but just the need for respite for families who are caring for a child or an adult with disabilities, or even if you're caring for a family member who's got dementia.
Hmm.
Respite applies to across the board. It is a rest. It is a break that gives you time to reset, reload, and come back at it again day in, day out. And so,
hmm. And I'm
Karen,
glad you said that. I'm glad you factored in that community because I think we focus so much on the disability, the disabled community, but
yeah,
as we have our older community, that are going through different things, and not to say dementia or Alzheimer's is not going to hit someone in my age, because I do know people that it has, but I think just being a caregiver, period,
yes,
it's a lot. And I think when you don't get that rest, it wears on you. I don't care what age you are. I don't care how much you love the person. And I think sometimes we wrap that up in, oh, if they love the person, they wouldn't do this. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think,
hmm,
you know, and I think we talked offline about this, but being a caregiver is being focused on a lot more now because of the responsibility. And some people still work. I know with
oh
Morgan, I
yes,
did. I still worked.
hmm,
Um, and I still had another child to take care of that had
exactly.
totally different needs. So that is very important. So I'm glad you did add on the older community, because that is something that's we have to think about. Parents are getting older, and what do we have? As much as we have stuff in place, the cost of bringing someone in, because I've dealt with people that said if somebody's parent is going through something, they'll say, well, can't they just bring somebody in the house? I'm like, do you know the cost of that?
Yeah, well, I helped care for my father-in-law who has since passed. He had dementia and cancer. My mother-in-law lives with me currently. She's very independent, but still, I do a lot for her.
Mhm.
And when Daniel was living with us, between my two other children, homeschooling them, and all the medical needs that he had and I had, it's hard. And as you said, it wears on you, and it's not
Mhm.
something that people see because it's a hidden thing. You try to
It is.
hide your emotions, you try to hide your stress
Mhm.
because you want to be the strong one, the one that's out there for everybody. And as caregivers, that's what we do. It just comes automatic. It's like, what are we going to do? Say, oh no, I'm not going to care for my child, you know?
Mhm.
And but what we do is we forget about caring for ourselves, not
Yes.
only to get a break physically, but we forget to care about ourselves emotionally,
Mhm.
spiritually, mentally.
Yeah.
I think I was just telling you offline that the increased statistics when it comes to depression and even
Mhm.
suicide amongst caregivers is going up, and
I
that's
can
very
believe
sad.
it.
And it's because we lack respite care. We lack the funding. We lack
Mhm.
the availability of people being able to care for our child or our adult
Yeah.
with disabilities, or and like you were also discussing, unseen disabilities. Um,
Mhm.
you know, it's I
That
could
can
go
be
into
a
a
show
whole
all
nother
by
topic.
itself.
Yes, you very much
Yeah.
could. But what I'm
Yeah.
here to talk
Yes,
about
it
tonight
can.
is what Caring Communities offers. And we did touch on this the last time,
Mhm.
but I have some good news because Caring Communities, for those on the podcast tonight and who are involved with advocacy, we are offering our online respite care training for free. It is a
Mhm.
3 hour long respite care training, and it normally is $149 because it took hours to develop. It covers a large variety of disabilities, medical topics, seizure control, positioning, wheelchairs, um, and then I will go out and do in-person training for more in-depth training, like with trachs, vents, G tubes, catheterizations. And we have a catalog. It's called the Respite Training Catalog, uh,
Mhm.
Disability and Respite Care Training Catalog. And it goes through all of the different trainings we offer. It describes the online training that we are offering for free. And we can talk about that also, because we would give you, Paula, a code that you would then give to those who are interested in receiving that training Let's say
Mhm.
you have a family is out there and they don't have someone to help them. But then all of a sudden they say, well, I have a cousin or a neighbor that might be able to help me, but they have no idea what to do. This
Mhm.
online training is a great stepping stone that gives them that introduction to disabilities. It gives them the understanding of the acronyms, the wording, the different verbiage that we use in the disabilities community.
So, Sharon, I'm glad we're talking about this. So, what I hear is the training. Tell me, is the training used to prepare people who are not ordinarily skilled in these areas? The training is to prepare those that have signed on that says, hey, I would like to be someone that helps out with a family member, but I don't know anything. So this training
Yes.
prepares them or gives them like a crash course in a sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is a crash course because it covers a large variety of disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
It covers topics such as, like I said, positioning, seizure protocol, um, not necessarily medication administration, but the fact that when you take medication, how it can be administered, different ways through tubes, mouth, different things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it covers a wide variety. It is a 3-hour course. Anyone taking the course gets a certification when they are finished. They do have to pass test
Mm-hmm.
in each section. They cannot move forward without doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at Caring Communities, what we do is once that person is registered,
Mm-hmm.
we get notification. We monitor their progress. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say an organization such as Special Olympics or Best Buddies actually wants to take this training and provide it to all their volunteers. We then are able, or any family member gives it to their daughter, a cousin, a friend. We're able to monitor their process, and if we see they're kind of starting but not finishing, a week later, we give a little boost and say, email, here you go. Hey guys, we see you started. Why don't you
Mm-hmm.
continue? Because this is real important for you, and you won't get your certification until you finish. And it is about 3 hours. I have a respite care program at my church that I run. It is a free respite care program for families with children with disabilities. And all of my volunteers have to go through this. And when I say volunteers, I'm talking about teenagers too. I've got 12 and 13-year olds that go through this program.
Now, I guess too, when I think about this, Sharon, I think this is excellent. I do. My concern is the lack of volunteers. That's where
Mm.
I guess too, where um I think there are resources like something like this, which is would be totally great. How do we encourage people to take advantage of this and understand the urgency of this matter? Because I think the service that you all are providing is great, but if we don't have people that will volunteer that can say, listen, I want to relieve someone, how do we get the word out? I know we this year I've been hearing a lot about caregivers, and I want more on the show. So if you're listening, please consider being a part of the show, because I think we do not focus enough on caregivers. So I think I don't say we pretend, but when we kind of endure in silence, I don't think people understand the fact that people really need to be relieved sometime. So how do we encourage, do we tell our caregivers to get out there and to let people know what they're truly going through, which is why I do want them on the show. I really want you all on the show because I know for me, I didn't have a lot of help, but one thing that I did not do, people thought I had it all together, and I didn't. I mean, it was just a tiring process, and I think sometimes people don't know, and I don't know for me if I just would not be able to trust people with Morgan. So how do we get the word out that we need more volunteers? Should we get out there? Should we scream it from the rooftop that we need help? Should we get to the point as caregivers that we even trust individuals with our special needs individuals? How do we do this? I can't hear you, Sharon. I'm not sure if something happened with your volume. Okay, while Sharon is working through her volume situation, I mean, as we know, these computers can come and go, but yes, this is, I definitely want to understand this process because I think one thing about it for me is I was a caregiver and I just don't think, I think some people say that you just don't ask for help. I don't think that's always the case. I think when we ask for help, we also have to ask people for help that we feel is qualified to work with our special need individual. I think I hear something now, Sharon. No, I don't. I don't know. I'm not sure why we're not hearing Sharon. Um, I'm
There we
not
go. How's
sure.
that?
I think I hear you now.
Okay. My phone connected to it somehow, and
Okay,
yeah, sorry about that. Technology, you
it's
love it or
okay.
you hate it.
But I
So
think these are very, I think it's so important. And like I say, I, as a caregiver, I wanted the help, I wanted the relief, I wanted the time away. But at the same time, I was so concerned about Morgan's safety that I just didn't feel as though there was a lot of people that were able to help. So for me, I just felt like, in a sense, this is my cross to bear. And while you're watching everybody else have a good time, it's sunny outside, it's nice, they can go anywhere, they can do anything, they can go to the kids' parties, and you have nothing to go to, you have nothing to do. How do we encourage our caregivers to understand that they need help and to ask for it?
well, that's the hard thing. We don't ask for help like you, like
Mm,
me. But as you become more desperate, you begin to need to ask for that help. So you need to tap into your community,
mhm,
your relatives, your friends, even advertising. You know, people advertise for jobs. Okay, so if you're in a self-directed program or something like that, you can actually go out and advertise and say, you know, I'm looking for a caregiver for my child. You interview them. And then
mhm,
if you find someone you're comfortable with, then you say, okay, I'd like you to go through and take this training. And then
mhm,
of course you as a parent, you train that person too. You're not
mhm,
going to just have someone come in and just say, here you go, you know, here's my child.
mhm.
When I had caregivers, and this was nurses for my son because he was on the vent, I had to train them. And it takes time to learn to trust. But if you continue to not ask for help, you're going to get burned out. And then you're going to want to just I
Give
can't even
up.
describe even further what can happen. But a couple of legislations that are being pushed right now, a couple of bills that are trying to be pushed to go through, as I was
Mhm,
telling you earlier, Paula, are specifically related to caregiving. And also, they're wanting considered a respite care um, portal
mhm,
where you can go to the state of Maryland and find organizations that provide respite care. I could go through and give you an entire list, but we have those at our expo too. And we, as caring communities, we actually have what is called a respite registry. So
mhm,
any of your followers, anyone can come onto our website, Caring Communities, and register themselves as needing caregiver. And then we have a list of people, and we're trying to build this more and more by getting the word out there through also doing this training for free.
mhm,
People can come on and register as caregivers. And then you go on and you look for a caregiver in your particular zip code area. Those names come up. You reach out to them, and that
mhm,
has to be you. You can't just say, oh, they're going to come to me. You need to do the search. You need to say, okay, I see this person, they say they're a caregiver, they put their resume in there, they put their qualifications in there.
mhm,
You then would interview them. If you want to do a background check for them, that it
mhm.
would be your responsibility. But we compile all of that. Um, and it is true. I see someone commenting here,
Yeah.
Bonnie.
And
Trust
that was
is
my,
very
that was
hard.
my dilemma. That was, and I'm going to be
True.
honest,
Hmm.
um more help is given to me now that Morgan is older. And I say this because there are more resources for her. I think, and Sharon, we talked about this offline, but I think there are a lot of resources that are cut off when they're 21, but there are a lot of resources that didn't start until they were 21. So even when there were
True.
organizations that would give me a certain amount of money back for respite care, the problem with this is I couldn't find anyone that would work for that type of money. And once I was on care.com one time, I was so desperate. I was on care.com and I was looking for someone to take care of Morgan. I think people that was charging for a disabled child, and a lot of them didn't even have the experience, but they were charging like 35 to $45 an hour. And I will say for me, um,
Can't afford it.
yeah, first of all, you can't afford it. So I think it's a combination of things. And I don't know if anybody want to chime in, Bunny. I know you have, but it
Yeah.
was a combination of things. It was number one, I didn't have the money. And I think it was one of the organizations when Morgan was younger said that, hey, we will reimburse you. I think they started out with $10 reimbursing me an hour. So here I am putting out 35 to $45 an hour. They're reimbursing me 10. And I think by the time it went down, it was down to maybe like $2 reimbursement. So I think there's a combination of things. I think that most people can't afford it, and then
Mm.
we feel like there's not anybody that's qualified. And I think, just being able to trust, because Morgan is nonverbal, so to be able to
My
go out
son was
and
too.
come, yeah, it's just it's so hard. But I think, like you're saying, it's the alternative. Do you go out? Do you get that much needed time and just leave your special needs individual with just anybody, or do you just suffer in silence? And then, like you said, a lot of people are taking their lives. They're trying to escape any way they possibly can because they're
Yeah.
overwhelmed. It's
Substance abuse is a big one with caregivers,
yeah,
and I'm not saying that lightly because
mhm,
and depression, and we
yeah,
call it situational depression.
yeah. I did
I've
it all.
been
I
through it,
will say that. I
been through
think
it.
I went through a depression and didn't
Mhm.
even know it, but
Yeah.
I was from my spiritual walk, I just felt like, you should be trusting God more. And I wrote an article,
Mhm.
I put an article in, one of the ladies at my church had asked me to write something about how I endured, being a caregiver all these years by myself. And I gave her a pretty version of it. And she asked me, she said, can you put a little more in here? Can you give me a little more? And I told her, and this is something that I didn't intend to tell her, because of course in our walk, my spiritual walk, alcohol is not something that we do. That's something that is contrary to what we do. But I wrote and I told her, I said, what I did, I began to drink. I began to drink to escape my life. And I did not actually stop until a couple of years ago. And I'm being honest and transparent, but my goal, I didn't realize that my husband helped me to understand that a lot of what I was doing was trying to escape my life. I was.
Mhm.
And I had
Yeah.
considered times, not killing myself. I didn't ever get to that point, but there were times that I felt like the only time that my daughter would get help is if I left. So there were times that I just
Mm.
wanted to go, I just wanted a vacation. I just wanted to be able to go somewhere and where others laid on the beach and had a nice time. I wanted to do that. So there were times that I said, I want to escape my life. And I think had I gone away, I probably would have never come back. And I'm going to be honest. So I
But
say this to
having those
say,
feelings doesn't mean you don't love your child. It's
but
normal.
when you're going through
Yeah.
that, when you're going through that, you realize that if you leave, who else is going to take care of your child? So I
Yeah.
understand, but at the same time, it was like I felt like it was such a big responsibility for just me to bear. It
Mhm.
was. And I'm talking to the caregivers out there that feels this way. It's hard. Don't feel bad. Don't and people kept telling me, well, when she get 18, the doors will open and you will be able to get this. And I said, but she's like 3. What do I do for 15 years?
And if you're a
And
single
if
mom
you're
or dad
single
doing
and you
this.
don't have a lot of resources, so I say this
So
to really encourage those that have the desire to rescue people. I mean, when you have 7 days a week and you don't have, now I'm not saying nothing on your plate, but you have more time, I think it would be good to donate some of that time, relieve that parent. And you know what it does too? It opens up your understanding to a different world. Most of the people like you, Sharon, if you had not opened your world up and your heart up to your son, to adopting your son, you wouldn't be here today. So it's a
I would not.
rewarding experience.
I always say to him, you know, "Daniel, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today." And
Yeah.
that just shows you what direction that God draws you into, not
Hmm.
necessarily you say, "Oh, I'm gonna go do that," kind of thing.
Yeah.
We've all been given special children
Yeah.
in one way or another, whether it's through adoption, natural birth,
Hmm.
whether it be that you're taking care of your son's or your daughter's child as a grandparent, so many ways that you can be involved in being a caregiver. And so when we talk about taking that time for yourself, it's a lot easier said than done, as you
Hmm.
say, and we all know. But when you talk about the resources,
Yeah.
um, one of the things that I'll jump into very quickly, and we can post this and you guys can
Okay.
see it, is our World of Possibilities Disabilities Expo. It is a
Yes.
family event. We have organizations that are out there to help you. I
Yeah.
cannot tell you how many new organizations are at our expo this year. Organizations that provide respite care.
Yeah.
Literally, they are organizations that provide respite care. And there are funds. And I just mentioned this to someone else, and I came across this myself. There is an organization in Washington, D.C., that has grants for families who need equipment. And it's not just for people in DC, it's for DC, Virginia, and Maryland.
Hmm.
So all of these resources that I come across is because of what I do, because I'm out there reaching out to every possible organization that can help people and families who have children or adult children or parents, that they're
Hmm.
caring for. And so you should see the hundreds and hundreds of organizations that I have and the and the relationship I have with them. So I highly recommend any opportunity you get, you network, 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 because as you network, you get more information, and these two bills that are coming forth next Tuesday are
Hmm.
about caregiving.
And I
Literally.
would love to. I would
Well,
love to post those bills on advocacy and
I
the
will send
resource
them.
guide. Hmm.
Here's the bad thing that happened to me. I was actually the interesting thing was when you're trying to get into Annapolis to speak on a particular bill,
Like
um,
that. Thank
you
you,
have
Bunny. You are true. You're absolutely right. Sharon is a wealth of information.
but these bills, they only give you a certain amount of time on one day to register to go and speak or give testimony. And everything was crazy for me this week. My sister's been in the hospital with cancer and renal failure, and Sherry Bailey, who is pushing forth these bills, she's an amazing person, just tons and tons of knowledge too. And I told Paula she needs to be on your podcast.
I would love it.
So I will
And I
get
would have loved to be there to kind of tell my story. I think we need these real life stories.
Well, you know what's going on with DDA and all the cuts they're making. So this
Yes.
is what's going on down in Annapolis right now. It has to do with the disabilities community. And these bills are being put forth so that people can get the care they need, without breaking the bank.
Hmm.
And there are organizations out there that will give you funding, that will give you grants. There I think there's several that I can send to Paula afterwards, and I'll
Hmm.
send you all these websites. I'll send you the organizations that give grants for equipment. Um, And there's one that is it's slipping my mind, but I've sent it out to all of my families that I know that have children with disabilities, and it's you get funding. They give it twice a year. One of my families got it, and they applied that money to Respite to help pay for me to be there because
Now,
they
is
had
it
health
list?
insurance.
I know
What?
list
Yeah,
is
Liz.
being cut.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, Liz is there, but we're fighting to keep that going too.
Yes, I
But
heard that's being cut. That's
mhm,
one of the organizations that Morgan was thrown in the lottery. She didn't get it as much, but it
yeah,
was,
my son got it once.
yeah, I think Morgan has gotten it twice. And I mean,
Mhm,
it was, people just don't understand. I think as much as these special needs individuals need, because they need equipment, they need,
mhm.
it's so much that they need. And they always seem to be, not saying they're the only ones, because they're not, but they always seem to be on a cutting board. And I'm like, do you all
It is.
understand how much it costs to take care of a special needs individual?
But you also have to remember there are places, and I mean, I could make up probably 5 pages of organizations that I can shoot to you that have loan closets for equipment, that give grants for equipment,
Mhm.
and that's where this whole networking takes place.
It does.
So, the networking is so important, and coming to the expo, it's a 4-hour expo. Bring
Mhm.
your kiddo with you. We have
Mhm.
entertainment, we've got
Mhm.
clowns, we've got animals, I mean, we got
They
food
have
trucks,
everything.
everything. I
Yeah.
mean, you've been there, Paula, so you know.
Mhm. We've
Now
gone several for the last 3 years. We've gone. Of course,
mhm,
everybody that knows I broke my foot. So
no.
yeah, that's the only reason why I'm not going this year, because I'm serious. It was, and when we went the first year,
Is
me and my husband and my daughter went, and we were just going. And my husband said, "Babe, you're gonna be here next year. Avis could say is gonna be a vendor." He
Yep,
spoke it, and we were there as a vendor. We even went to the one in Frederick, I
in
think it was.
Frederick, yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, Paula has the free tickets, the
Mhm.
postcards, everything. So,
Yes.
I mean, there are a lot of resources out there. You
Mhm.
have to tap into them. And
Yep.
again, it's easier said than done. But one of the resources is our free training. So if you have a family member or someone that even said, in passing, "Oh, I feel so bad for you. I'd like to help you out." Boom. Grab them, say, "Guess what?
That's right.
I can help you learn how to care for my child."
Yeah.
And this is a program that is, it's out there. It is going to
Mhm.
be free for you guys. And it's simple. You do it on your computer. We
Mhm.
track you. They get the certificate. Then you step forth and they come in to your home, and if you know them, you get a background check. It doesn't cost that much money. I mean, it's not a lot to do that. You get references from people.
Mhm.
Um, Tap into organizations like the ARC and Penmar. There's so many.
Mhm.
When I was recently at an event called The Vibe up here in Carroll County, it's a nightclub type setting. They come and dance and everything. Over 100 people. You should see the employees from these organizations. They are young people, college people, caring for these people with disabilities. I could not believe, and I was just so encouraged to see them
Mhm.
tapping into the people who are already employed taking care of people with disabilities. They want to make extra money on the side. They want to be able to stay in the community, and they're dedicated. I was so impressed. They are so dedicated. So when you come to things like our expo, you get involved in the community events that are going on. That's how you meet people.
Mhm.
And
And I
I met
think,
people at the expo who now are part of my respite program at my church,
and I
which is a
you're
great
right.
program.
I think, and I'm going to, for the person that asked where's the expo, what I would do is we're
Mhm.
posting it on our website, but I'm gonna also put it on here
Okay.
to show where the website, I mean where it is.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing two things at one time, but I
I know, it's like,
definitely,
there's
mm-mm,
so much information to be got and given. I mean, we could do this for hours, Paula. We really could.
mhm. And the
And
thing about it is, I'm gonna pull up. Please look. I'm gonna pull up the information that Sharon gave me, but we are gonna post it on our page,
mhm,
and just let everybody know where it is, because I will say, there's power in numbers, and I think everybody
Yes.
says the exact same thing. When you're alone, you feel, you feel like there's no hope. But I will say that going out into the communities and getting to know everybody, it helped me. It definitely helped
Mhm.
me to know that I wasn't in this alone. It was. So I think going out to the community and stuff, it's a wonderful thing. I think everybody needs to do this, because if you sit in the house, and that's another thing for me, I wanted to expose Morgan to her community, because I
Exactly.
wanted
Yes.
her to understand that she looks around, she thinks she's strange in our house because she's different. But I think when she goes out and she see other people, she knows that she's not alone, you
Come to
know?
the expo. Oh my gosh. I mean, Paula, you saw how many people, 20, we had 1,300 people come through
Mhm.
in 2024. We
Mhm.
had people on special bikes and just, oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Mhm.
It was
So I
amazing.
am
And we've
full of
got
time.
activities for the kids.
Yes. I
It,
think it's great. They had the petting the dogs, where they
we have
had
the
therapy
dogs, we had
dogs.
face painting, glitter
Yes.
tattoos, we've got balloons,
Mhm.
a magician. Oh my gosh, we got a photo booth. So it's everything. But one thing, another thing I want to recommend is this, and I'm not just trying to tout caring communities, but go onto our website,
Mhm.
www and caring communities. I'll post that, and you will be able to go under the expo, our events, and then go
Mhm.
under expo. You'll be able to see all of the vendors that will be in our expo, and I'm going to tell you a lot of them who are coming in, like Carafap, all the a lot of DDA organizations. I'm going to say at least 5 of them are offering respite care, and
Mhm.
it is private pay, but I know that they have the staff that can do what is needed for a lot of our families who need the respite care. And
Mhm.
so then comes getting the funding. How do you get the funding? And that's where I'm hoping to be able to get a whole list together for Paula, and she can post
Okay.
it. It might take me a little bit of time, but I can definitely get out a few of them tonight because I was just in contact with him today.
Mhm.
But definitely coming to the expo. Oh, one other thing that's going to be there, Help Hope Live. It is an
They're going to be
organization.
on our show too.
Yes. Okay, great. Because they're going to be at the expo. They help do what is called crowdfunding fundraising.
Yes.
And they help people learn how to raise money for care for your child, equipment pieces, bikes, special bikes. There, gosh, I could go on and on. There's just so much out there. It's just getting
Mhm.
out there and finding it.
I
That is
agree.
such the hard thing, and I'll do my best to get as much information to you guys as possible,
Mhm.
but, you
And I
know.
have put, what I'm going to do is put, here it is right here, where it's on May the 2nd,
Yeah.
2026. It's going, we did put it on
No, actually,
advocacy.
it's not May 2nd now.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, it is April 18th. That the
April
postcard I sent
18th.
you,
That's right.
yeah, we had to change the date. That was from our old
Okay.
magazine, so it is April 18th,
So let
11
me,
AM to 3 PM. I
okay.
sent you the tickets and the postcards,
Yes, you did. And I
and
did,
so
I sent them. They're on our website, guys. So please go on there.
great.
It's April the 18th. It's under events. So we definitely put it on Advocacy's page as one of the upcoming events. Um, and I definitely want to have it where everybody can come, and like I say, I think a lot of things, yes, we have it on our website, and we have it as April the 18th. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk to Sharon, and I'm trying to click through. So we do
I
have it on
know.
our website. And I will say that I met athletes ASA at the caring communities. What I do is, even as a vendor, I walked around and met people. Caring communities introduced us to a lot of different organizations.
Yes.
And that's where Morgan goes for ASA, and she is an athlete in the stroller, a running stroller. We have
Mhm.
traveled. She's gonna be in her blossom, cherry blossom, the 10 mile coming up.
They'll
They
be at
are
the
looking
expo
for,
again this year.
oh yes,
Yep,
they are looking for athletes, and they're
they
looking
are.
for riders. So it's a great thing for your kids to come out in the community. Morgan goes to as many of those events as we can get signed up for.
Okay.
So
I have a
yeah.
question.
Mhm.
Anybody who is on the podcast right now, Do you have a daughter that is 18 or older, that is verbal, that would be interested in participating in what is called Miss Maryland Wheelchair? I'm not sure if you've
Ooh,
heard about it, but it is a
yes.
pageant. It is a specifically a pageant for women in wheelchairs, and choose a they choose a I guess what you would call a topic that they base their advocacy on.
Hmm.
um, there is a fee to enter into the pageant, to
Hmm.
come into it. But another thing that we are looking to do, Caring Communities would like to sponsor someone and pay that initial $200
Okay.
if people are out there. And so if you are interested in something like that, past Miss Wheelchair Maryland's will be at the expo with their crowns and sashes. They'll be walking around. And so there's just, I
I
just say
love it.
come because there's so much to be shared.
Hmm.
And I just posted, go to our website to see all the organizations that are going to be there. You
Hmm.
can just Google them, find them on Facebook, and they give exactly what services they provide. And
Hmm.
then I'll really do my best to get the more recent ones out there that provide the grants and things like that.
Hmm. Now, Sharon, I know we focused a lot on the respite care for the special needs individuals. Do we also have some of the organizations that provide respite care for people that the individuals like the elderly people for dementia and Alzheimer's? I
Yes.
don't. Okay.
Yeah, so our expo, I mean, we don't cover that, even though our training is geared toward children up to 21, the
Hmm.
online training.
Hmm.
It can be applied for adults because you think about it, if a child is born with cerebral palsy, that doesn't change over the years. They still have cerebral palsy as an
That's
adult.
right. That's right.
And so the techniques and the information that we give you during that online training can be applied for adults. It just needs to be um, performed in a different way,
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
you understand. So it's difference between a 50-pound child, positioning them in a wheelchair versus
Hmm.
positioning an adult that's 100 pounds or 120 pounds in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
And so those modifications need to be made, but all the instruction is given for all the different tasks that would be applied to learning how to care for someone with disabilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I definitely want us to, again, I'm glad we're talking about the respite care for caregivers because again,
Mm.
moving forward, I would love to have more shows. We have a show coming up in March. Yeah, the end of March for a caregiver. And I would love to have more shows where we talk to the caregivers because I think again most people underestimate that the caregivers need help, and so a lot of people are not thinking, oh, they're doing good, oh yeah, they don't need any help.
Mhm.
I think we need to have more caregivers to tell their stories so that people will feel compelled to come on and get, take these trainings so that they can get the help.
Yeah.
We do have a question. Hold
Okay. Are there any situations, cases where someone would not be approved for the respite care? Can you be more specific, Bunny? When you say that would not be approved for respite care, are you talking about the person that needs the respite care, the adult caring for them, or the child or adult that has the special needs? Or are you talking about funding for respite care?
And I do know that, I think for most of us, we would be more yes, Bunny said yes. So Bunny, are you talking about for those that require the care or for those that are providing the care? Which one? Is that what you were asking, Sharon?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Um she said
Uh,
person in need for the care.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No. I will give an example. I have 3 different families that I work for. Each one of those families have individuals with very differing needs. Um, and so, no, respite care is for anyone, any person of any ability, whether or not it is a visible disability whether or not it is a behavioral concern. A lot of people with autism and Down syndrome have with them some behavioral concerns that come
Mm-hmm.
with it. And I will say this: I have a client right now who has Down syndrome, autism, attention deficit, defiant behavior, and no one, they can't keep anybody because they're
You
afraid
described
of
Morgan.
what?
You just described my daughter.
Okay, so I go in and I care for
Hmm.
this young man who is 15, and they said, "You're the first one who stayed."
Wow.
And that's a shame because people aren't trained to know how to handle the different things that occur. I mean, I've had people just often punch me out of nowhere, special needs, but you have to understand they can't control their emotions. They might have a certain condition that causes them to do this. This is where the training comes in. And now, granted, I have a lot of training, I have a lot of certifications, but that's where I can come in and help a provider teach them how to de-escalate behaviors, teach
Mm.
them how to understand why this is going on, not just say, oh, that's a bad kid. Years
Mm-hmm.
ago, there wasn't even a word called autism.
Mm-mm.
These kids were just considered bad kids.
They were.
They
That's a
didn't,
great
no one
point.
even knew what it was because they would lash out. They would have
Mhm.
emotional breakdowns. They would have, you know, so many different things going on inside of their bodies, inside of their minds. And so this is where understanding and knowing how to deal with all of this and getting the resources, I'm only one person. I can come in and train a caregiver for one of you guys. But there's a lot more people out there that can do the same thing. And a lot of the
Mhm.
organizations that are going to be at the expo do this too
Oh wow, this
through
is so
through their respite care
interesting.
program. They've been trained. They know how to do these types of things.
And this is something that I would love to provide respite care money for, like even if one parent a month. I would love to do that.
Mhm.
I would love for us to have a respite care fund with advocacy, because I do think that that is so important, and even if, like I say, if we could do it for one parent a month and the
Mhm.
couple, because there, like you said, sure, a lot goes on with people, whether they're going into depression, whether marriages break up over it, because if you don't, I hear people talk about the date night and all that. I get to do that more now with hubby, and I thank God for that. But at one time, when people talked about date night, what if you don't have a mate? What did you
Yeah.
get? You got nothing. So you ain't gonna have a husband. They like, you don't need no date night.
Mhm.
But how come I can't have some time to just go out by myself, even
With
go
your
to a
bestie,
movie?
you know,
Exactly.
that we
Exactly.
have 2 moms in our respite care program. That's what they do. They're like, "I see my husband all the time. I can never get to see my best friend." So encouraging people, like we've trained churches to have a respite care program like what we have up here at my church.
I
I
think that
started the
would be
program 3
great.
years ago. There are churches out there that have respite care programs, and it's not just for the members. Like our program, anybody can come. We have people come from all counties: Baltimore County, Howard County, Harford County, Carroll County. And when they hear about us, they're just like, free respite? What?
So how many people, about how many people do you all have that? And I know Bunny has a question about how
Okay.
many people do you all have at your church that provide respite care?
Our volunteers, right now we have 20 some volunteers,
Mm-hmm.
but not all of them can come each month. So we rotate between Friday and Saturdays. This for March 21st, it's going to be on the Saturday, and it runs
Mm-hmm.
from 11 to 2. And so
Mm.
some of my volunteers can work on a Saturday, some can do Fridays, some can do both. But we do take a break during the summer because that's vacation. And
Mhm.
I will tell you this: when we're finished with respite, we're exhausted.
I
But
know,
because
because so can you imagine a parent?
we have upwards of 20 to 25 kids sometimes, and it's a mix of kids with disabilities and their siblings. We're not going to go out there
Oh,
and
that's
say,
smart.
here, bring your child with disabilities here for free, but go find childcare somewhere else for your other kids.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so and then
Yeah.
the siblings get to see, hey, I'm not the only sibling who has a brother or sister with
And again,
disability.
that's that connection.
Yes.
That's that
Oh,
connection.
they've had play dates, and Just
Mhm.
amazing, amazing. And we do go up to 21, but our oldest right now just turned 18 and he's kind of aging out because most of the kids are between 2 and 13.
Mhm. Do
And
y'all
so,
do it within the church at
yes,
that?
we do. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's
W
funded by the church too. We have a fund.
We
Uh,
need that information so that we
I
can post that on our resource.
Oh, but if you post it on resources and I start getting more families, I need more volunteers.
I know, but at least they have some options, that would be great. Be
There are other churches down in the DC area. There's one big one in Virginia. There's one in Bowie. As a matter of fact, they took our respite care training before we had it for free. They bought a package which allowed them to train as many people as they wanted.
well, we need to know about, even if we have a
Okay.
event, if we have a tab for resources and we have churches that provide respite, if we can have a list of the churches, because again, here we are where I don't think people are not reaching out, but all the time people do not know about these resources.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Sharon, if
Exactly.
we can get that information, we definitely want to post that on our page.
Okay.
And I mean,
It
again,
might take
first
me some
come.
time to get everything compiled because I just finished with the magazine. I'm still working
I
the
know you're
last
always
few
working.
things for the expo but Bunny, you had another question. You
Yeah.
said, have you ever worked with a family that you could not help? You mean me personally? If
Hmm.
what was the other option? Okay. So me personally, because I have worked with Easter seals and I've worked with so many different forms of disabilities, whether they're physical, invisible, behavioral. Me, no, personally. I walk in with open arms and say, bring it on.
Okay.
But I will say for other people who are caregivers, they can with a child with CP. I'm not going to work with a child with
Mhm.
major behavioral
Okay.
issues that go along with like autism or Down syndrome sometimes. So for me personally, no, but you will find people who will say they have certain specifications of who they'll work with. Some will
And I
work with,
like that. I'd rather you tell me up front, like, I don't
yes,
want to deal with an eloper because I'm not no runner. I
but
would rather you tell me about these things instead of somebody just being assigned to this person without knowing
yeah, no,
everything.
that's where
Yeah.
you interview. And that's where the thing is too. If they say, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, guess what? They can be trained to understand how to deal with elopement.
Mhm.
And you
Mhm.
have a tracker on your child, like I was telling you about the InfoMate,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
You reach out to us, and we can come in and train them specifically on things.
Mhm.
If you feel like you're not comfortable enough to train the person, and you sometimes it's how do I describe this? When I was training my son's nurses, and I'm going to give you an example here. This was kind of ridiculous, but a brand new nurse came in, and she's an LPN,
Mhm.
and I would always have the rule, I do, you watch, you do,
Mm.
I watch, and then let's go from there.
Mm.
I did, she watched, she did, I watched. She drew up phenobarbital for my son. Instead of doing the milligrams to milliliters, she flipped it and was ready to overdose my son on phenobarbital. And I looked at her and I said, excuse me, but are you trained in medication administration? She goes, well, yes, I am. I'm an LPN. I'm like, oh, really? I
You
said,
should
you are
know
about
that.
to overdose my son. And she kind of got flippant on me. I said, look, I said, this is my son. And Bunny, this is where you go about the whole trust thing.
Mm.
You are there to help train them. You get help to help train them. And you have to be comfortable knowing that they're going to care for your child. And, that's even when they're in a professional setting,
Mhm.
there are still situations that happen. But
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes to the point where you have to say, you love your child is your everything, but you have to understand that either you have other children, you have a husband, and you have to have some time to yourself too.
And we
And
preach that. We preach that on here. That's one thing that we always talk about. Crystal, that's not with us, but we always ask our guests, how are
yes,
you taking care of yourself?
and when the instances of divorce
Yeah.
amongst family, couples with the child with disabilities is
Mhm.
huge.
Mhm.
And without that self care for yourself, your other kids, and your husband, you and your spouse, it, your partner, it's going to take a toll. And, as you say, preaching to the choir, you need to have that break. And you all know it, you're hearing it, but there are resources out there and you have to get
Mhm.
out and try to find them. And we're here to try to help you through caring communities, through the services we provide, through the events that we hold. We even have a magazine that we put out once a year. Brand new one's coming out next week. It's called World of Possibilities. It's a flip book magazine. It has resources, articles that speak to you where you are, and you think, am I the only one out there
Mhm.
feeling this way, or am I the only one out there that needs these services? So Paula said she's going to also post that, and it's
Mhm.
two different magazines that we've put
Yes.
out on the flip book, fall of 24, spring of 25, and
Mhm.
then our spring of 26 is coming out next week. The
Mhm.
articles are amazing.
Yeah,
And
they
there's a lot
are.
of resources in there too. It's almost 100 pages.
Yeah, it is. And I think the
Mhm.
main thing for our caregivers, the advice that I would give is don't be ashamed to ask. And I was there. I was there because when I did, put myself out there to ask, a lot of the times you get the, oh, I would, but, I could, but, and then you bump into the people that want you to empty your bank account. So I
Mhm.
think, there is, I will say we have a community for Morgan. And it takes a community. I mean, because I think
Mhm.
one year me and hubby went to Aruba for a whole week. And and
Woo!
again, yeah, I mean, we're at that point now, and I thank God because but it took us years
It
to
does.
get to the point where we were able to tag team. We had it before we left. I had it where I was like, okay, this person takes over at this time, and then this person takes over at that time, and then they come up with the anchor. I
Mhm.
mean, it was like I think when we went to Aruba, I want to say it was two or three people that everybody had their schedules to know when they took over for Morgan and what they were supposed to do, and everybody was familiar. So one thing I will say too is getting involved because I know our time is almost up, and that's why I
Yeah.
said, Sharon, I could talk to you forever.
I know, Paula. There's just so
Oh
much.
my
Gosh.
gosh, getting people involved over the years that
Mhm.
that are familiar with that person. And I know how Bunny is. Bunny's like me, Crystal's like me, and all. But
Yeah,
I
I remember
think
Bunny from our last time I was on.
yeah, and I think it's best to get people involved on the base level if you can, because as that person grows, and they're familiar with them, it won't be as hard to find somebody to relieve you so that you can take that trip. But
Yeah.
I think for me, again, Morgan, she had behavioral, she had cerebral palsy. I think the main thing what people thought about her was the behavioral, and then her not being verbal. They didn't know what she would need or what she didn't want, and if she was crying,
Yep.
what's wrong. A lot of that is and I know it can be so intimidating, it can, but I think for me, most of the people that started helping out with her, they start getting to know her, they got
That's
to know
exactly
her.
what's happening with my client I just started with. He is Down syndrome, autism, deaf, nonverbal, behavioral.
Mhm.
So I went in while the parents were there to get to know him, and now we're friends,
Mhm.
he and I. And I'm going in twice a month now on a regular basis. And then he stays familiar with me. I'm learning his behaviors. I'm learning sign language now. So a new thing I'm learning. No, the hat on me. I'm like, ah. So that's how you do it too. You bring someone in
Mhm.
casually,
Mhm.
slowly. Let them go to an event with you. Let them go to the park with you. Let them come in and learn how you give your child dinner. You know, however, but it might be slow going, but it can work. And through the training process that we're offering and the resources, I know that there is a lot of ways that you guys can get help. So,
I love it. I love it. And now this is going out to our caregivers. Come on, caregivers.
yeah.
Come out of, I ain't gonna say the closet because I don't want to associate, but come out and just
Oh,
let
I'm
people.
gonna get on you.
I know, but I'm not, I know we say closet, but come out, of that dark space and let people know that you need help. I think
Mm,
there are people out there that need help. Please get out there, get in your community, get involved, and take advantage of resources. Because I think, like, even with dealing with Sharon, one thing leads to another. And then if I talk to Sharon, I'll be like, "Well, Sharon, have you ever known about this, or did you know about this?" And I think when we get those communities together, and when you start talking to people, that's when you get the help that you need. And I will say,
mm,
over the years, I have felt um the burden has lifted a lot because of the connection that I've had. And so every time
yeah,
I learn something, I'm like, oh, I tell somebody else, oh yeah, well, I like ASA. I want to say ASA is great. I mean, I'm telling y'all, it is awesome. And
yep.
I met them at Caring Community.
And they'll be there. And
Yes.
if you ever think about too, if you have a friend who has a child with disabilities, you ever want to co-help each other.
Mm-hmm.
We've had that situation go on too, where okay, you have a child, and they have a child. You can say, guess what? I'll take yours with
Mm-hmm.
mine, so you can get a break, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And then you trust them. you know,
Yeah, that is an
that's
excellent
one
point.
way. That's just one
Yeah.
way, but that's a good way to start,
Mm-hmm.
and you might be overwhelmed for a couple hours while you have yours and theirs, but then guess what?
I
You
like
get
that.
your break next.
I like that, and that's being resourceful. And it was a
Yeah.
movie. I know we gotta go, but it was a
Yeah,
movie
I know.
last year about that.
Mhm.
Not last year, but it's some years ago. But it was talking about the neurotypical. But it was the one mother watched all the kids. I can't remember what that
Yeah,
movie
it's
was,
you know what we're
but it
talking
was
about,
that's
but
a
yeah,
great point. That's a
yeah,
great point. So it's again, guys. Listen, let's come together. Let's make this happen. Let's relieve those caregivers. Let's cut down depression, let's cut down suicide, let's cut down people feeling like they're alone, because
yeah,
we need that, guys. And we need those that will have a heart. We know it's a sacrifice. I lie to you not, it is a sacrifice to be able to lend your time to someone else. It's a sacrifice, but guess what? We never know in life where we're going to end up. So, one
yep,
thing I will say is a lot, and I'm going to be honest, a lot of things I didn't realize about this community until I was thrust into it. So, when we're doing this, there's more awareness being brought to it. Why don't we take and go into it now, not because we are experiencing it firsthand, but we want to be a blessing to somebody. I think in this day and time, with all that's going on, we need to search for ways to be blessings to each other. So
yeah,
I just encourage people, please help out caregivers and caregivers. Anybody out there that's a caregiver taking care of somebody, come on, y'all, tell us what you need. Come on the show and talk about your plight. But come also with an open mind that you can tell people what you stand in need of, so that we can get you the help that you need.
yeah. Okay, and I'll give Paula all the resources and
Mhm,
information that we touched on tonight,
mhm,
and we'll get Paula to get that up there on her website, her social
mhm,
media.
mhm,
You can go and find us on Caring Communities on Facebook also. So
mhm.
go on, like us, and you'll see all the organizations and things that support us and the resources. So,
Thank you, Sharon. I time on here, but it won't be her last, because as you can see, Sharon is a wealth of information,
all
and
right.
we really appreciate you. And I just thank you for being on here. I do. I really
Thanks for
do.
having me again, Paula, and I'll miss you this year at the expo.
No,
If
but
there's
that's okay.
any way, get your little scooter out there, lady.
I mean, if I can still try to at least make it, I'm a
Yeah, please
see.
come
But
because you can still network, woman. You are good at
exactly,
networking. You can still
where there's
come.
a will, there's a way.
That's true, and you got that little knee thing. You can at least come and
Yeah,
take part, and be a participant this time instead of working your little tail off.
I
Like
definitely
it's
will try
busy.
my best to make it. I am.
Yeah,
I am.
we miss you.
Yes, but I thank you, Sharon. You are
All
a
right.
blessing, heaven sent. God bless you. God bless your
Oh,
family.
thank you.
And I just thank God for everybody that joined us
Yeah,
again.
thanks
Um,
everybody.
we will not be on next week because we already have a prior engagement, but we will be back on the following Thursday, and that show will we will be discussing ALS, and we will have a caregiver on here. Please tune in. It's
Get
gonna
out of
be
here.
awesome. I'm gonna
Paula,
learn. Yes.
anybody's out there that knows ALS, we need some ALS interpreters at
No,
our expo this
no, no,
year.
no, no. And I may be saying it wrong. What is it that the
Oh,
illness
ASL is American Sign Language.
AS? No, no, not ASL, ALS. What is that? Is that where it's a neurological disease?
Oh, okay.
Hmm. They're
Okay.
going to be on here the last Thursday in March. So we're
Okay.
excited. Yeah,
Oh,
Bunny said
okay. Yeah,
ALS. Yes, it's
ALS. Thank
ALS.
you,
So
Bunny.
we're going to come from the standpoint of a caregiver. Again, for
Oh,
anybody that knows caregivers, if we can get some caregivers on the show, we would love it. So
okay.
please reach out, let us know. Somebody that's willing to come on here, tell us their story so that we can bring more attention to that. All right.
Sounds good.
All
All
right,
right. Good night,
Sharon. Well, thank
everybody.
you. We had a
Paula, you
great
can come out of your
conversation.
closet now, Paula.
Have a
Good
good one,
night.
Sharon.
All right. See ya.
Okay.
Okay. Bye. Bye, everybody.